In a calm valley nestled between towering blue mountains lived a young man named Rian. At 25, his life seemed ordinary, but inside his mind a relentless storm raged. Every morning, dozens of thoughts would rush through him like a hurricane. Old memories haunted him, and worries about the future clung to him like persistent shadows. Even when the world outside was quiet, his mind refused to rest. He tried everything to find silence. He took long walks through the valley, wrote his feelings down in journals, and attempted to distract himself with work, but nothing worked. The more he fought to silence his thoughts, the louder they screamed. Rian felt trapped, exhausted, and desperate for just a moment of peace. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, painting the sky in soft shades of purple, Rian overheard a group of travelers. They spoke of a distant hillside village and an elderly man who lived there. This man, they said, was once a respected counselor in a bustling city, having helped countless people find clarity. Now, in his old age, he had left the noise behind for a quiet life, offering gentle guidance to anyone who sought it. The moment Rian heard this, a tiny flicker of hope ignited within him. Maybe, just maybe, this man could understand. Before the sun rose the next day, he packed a small bag and set off on his journey. The path was long and winding. He climbed steep slopes, crossed rushing streams, and passed through villages filled with friendly faces. Yet, even on this long trek, his mind knew no rest. Thoughts continued to rise and fall, an endless, churning sea. When he finally reached the hillside village, its serenity struck him. Stone houses were draped in green vines, the air smelled of fresh pine, and birds rested quietly on branches, as if they too respected the profound silence of the place. Rian soon spotted a small home covered with climbing plants. On the porch sat an elderly man, his eyes closed, his breathing slow and even. He radiated a deep sense of stillness. Rian approached him and spoke softly. "Master, my mind is restless. I cannot stop thinking. I long for peace. Please, can you help me?" The old man slowly opened his eyes, a gentle smile forming on his face, the kind of smile that makes you feel instantly safe. "So," he said, his voice calm, "you are searching for peace." Rian nodded eagerly. The old man stood up, leaning on a wooden staff. "Come with me," he whispered. He led Rian to a small, open yard behind the house. Flowers grew in neat circles, and a narrow stone path led toward the edge of the village. In a quiet corner stood a large clay water pot. The old man picked up a clear glass and filled it to the very brim, the water so still it was almost overflowing. He handed the glass to Rian. "Walk from this yard to the far end of the village, and return," he instructed. "But remember, not a single drop must fall." Rian was stunned. "That's all?" he asked. "That's enough," the old man replied with a gentle nod. Rian tightened his grip on the delicate glass and stepped onto the narrow path. The village was alive with morning activity. Children laughed and played with sticks. Women carried baskets of fresh vegetables. Dogs barked with excitement. But Rian saw none of it. His eyes were fixed on the trembling surface of the water. He walked slowly, one careful step at a time, terrified that the slightest movement would cause it to spill. People moved around him, some even stepping aside with knowing smiles, sensing he was in the middle of an important lesson. He reached the far end of the village, turned with extreme care, and began the slow walk back. Every muscle in his body was focused on a single task, protecting the water. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he returned to the old man. "Master," he said, breathing heavily, "I did it. I didn't spill a single drop." The old man nodded. "Tell me," he asked softly, "did you notice the children laughing on the road?" Rian shook his head. "Did you hear the dogs barking?" "No," Rian replied, confused. "I didn't see or hear anything. I only looked at the glass." The old man smiled again, a warm, knowing smile. "That," he said gently, "is the lesson." He led Rian to a low wooden bench under a tree. Rian sat down, still holding the glass tightly. "When your mind stays in the present moment," the old man began, "nothing else can disturb you. No fear of the past, no worry about the future, no storm of unnecessary thoughts." He gently touched the rim of the glass. "You were only thinking about the water. For the first time in a long time, your mind was focused entirely on one thing the moment you were in." Rian looked down at the glass, the simple yet profound lesson dawning on him. The old man continued, "Peace is not something you find out there. Peace is inside you, waiting for you to stop wandering through old memories and imagined fears. When you return to this moment, to this breath, the noise in your mind simply fades away." Rian felt something shift inside him, a lightness, a space he hadn't felt in years. He closed his eyes, took a slow, deep breath, and sensed a gentle, quiet blooming in his chest. For the first time in a very, very long time, he felt calm. The old man placed a hand on his shoulder. "You searched everywhere," he said softly, "but peace was always here. Within you." Rian lowered his head in respect. "Master," he whispered, "I understand." The old man said nothing more. He simply looked out at the mountains as the late afternoon sun painted the valley gold. The birds returned to their nests, the breeze softened, and Rian finally felt at home, not in the village, but within himself. Before Rian left, the old man gave him one final practice. "Every morning," he said, "choose one simple action: drinking water, tying your shoes, washing your hands, and do it with complete presence. No rush, no wandering thoughts, just be there." Rian promised he would. "This small practice," the old man continued, "will remind your mind how to return to peace." As Rian prepared to leave, the master whispered a final line: "Where the mind rests, peace rises." Rian repeated it softly to himself as he walked back down the mountain path, the words echoing in his newly quiet mind. "Where the mind rests, peace rises." If this story touched your heart, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more peaceful stories. Thank you for watching.